Aloha and welcome to today's episode of the Chiefs 9 podcast. I am Command Chief Master Sergeant Zandra Fox, the Hawaii National Guard Command Senior Enlisted Leader.
And I'm Jeff Hickman, the Director of Public Affairs for the state of Hawaii. This is our first podcast series that we're doing under the podcast for State of Hawaii Department of Defense called NACOA Exchange, Boots, Wings, and More. And so this Chiefs 9 series is our first. Chief Fox gets to share initiatives and have guests on and talk about specific subjects like leadership, warrior ethos, and topics that our leaders are using today with our soldiers and airmen. And we're available in many different locations. But before we get to that, you want to talk about what is your hope for these podcasts?
Absolutely. So the hope is that those that are listening out there get some nuggets or some aha moments on the things that our leaders are sharing, their leadership perspective. We wanted the episodes to really surround what our leaders here today are thinking and feeling, and hopefully it normalizes some conversations with people within their units, and that you guys can use it as professional development and just talking points, and really just talk story about what is happening and what we're thinking and feeling.
And so it's a nine-part series, but we have bonus episodes. Sometimes we have two-part episodes, or there's multiple podcasts that'll come out every 2 to 3 weeks. We have about 5 that are out now. So please look for us on YouTube Music, Spotify, and Apple locations. We're available anywhere. This is the YouTube video, so you get to see and hear us, and so that's one of the options as well.
All right. So today's topic, we're going to talk about navigating uncertainty through these unprecedented times and the ever-changing environment. So today I have with me as my co-host, Jeff Hickman, Director of Public Affairs, and our 2 guests today. Thank you for being here, Chief Master Sergeant Mike Chase and First Sergeant Alika Kane. So I'd like to have you guys introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about your guard story.
All right. So good morning, everybody. My name is First Sergeant Alika Kane. I am the First Sergeant for the 93rd Weapons of Mass Destruction Civil Support Team. I started my Guard journey actually back in '97. I actually came into the reserves in about 1995 over at the 322 Civil Affairs Brigade over there at Fort Shafter. I was a split option, so basically I got to go to basic and then kind of come back, do some college, and then go back to my AIT. And when I came back from basic, went to University of Hawaii and bumped into, it was actually a pilot over there at Charlie 193rd Aviation. He was telling me a little bit more about, the Guard. And, it's like, hey, you want to come, fly air helicopters or anything like that? This is kind of a place to be. So I kind of took him up on that offer and transferred over to the Guard in '97 and started my journey as an aircraft mechanic. So that was a 67 uniform. I believe now it's a 15 uniform. So stayed with aviation for about 7 years, I believe. I started off as a mechanic, moved up to a crew chief, and then to a flight engineer. And then in 2002, we were flying this one team in between islands, and actually had one of my buddies was part of that, and I asked him, I was like, well, what do you guys do? And he kind of told me about the civil support team and kind of like their mission and everything. I was like, you know what, that's a pretty cool mission. So he said, well, we got an offering, maybe you can put your packet in, and I did. Surprisingly, I got the job, and I've been with the civil support team for about better part of almost like 20 years or so. Yeah. So left the team back in 2017. Went over and worked for the G3 or G3 office, and then went over to the RTI. Was instructor over there for a little bit, and then 2019, our first sergeant was retiring out, and I came back and applied for. Well, I actually applied for the first sergeant position, and I was able to somehow get that too. So yeah, so that's where I am today.
Wow, that's very career and a lot of influence from friends and soldiers,
Yes.
kind of guiding you along the way.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm Chief Master Sergeant Mike Chase from the 201st Intel Squadron. And how I got to the Hawaii Air National Guard was I was born in Virginia, graduated high school. I didn't know what I wanted to do with my life, so I talked to an active duty Army recruiter. I joined as a Chinese linguist, had no idea what a Chinese linguist was. Actually, I didn't even join as a Chinese linguist. I joined as a linguist. I didn't find out I was getting Chinese until I went to language school, and I freaked out. I had no idea what I was getting myself into. So I did that for about 9 years, got stationed out here as my first duty station, 25th ID, deployed to Afghanistan, came back, and about 2 years after I came back, it was decision time. Do I want to re-enlist or do I want to get out and see what is out there for me, civilian side? So I did talk to the Army Guard side. I wasn't a fan of the folks I talked to, no offense. So I hit up one of the Air Guard recruiters, and I told her, it was Master Sergeant Charlie Yoshimoto. I told her I didn't want to do intel. I did intel for 9 years in the Army. I wanted to do something else, something with my hands, something outside. But since today's topic is uncertainty, I got scared of uncertainty. And when she told me about the 201st Intelligence Squadron being a brand new unit in 2008, we only had 3 people in it at that point in time, our admin staff and our commander. I went ahead and said, yes, I'll stay intel, I'll do that. And fast forward to 2024, and I was able to make my way up to the senior enlisted leader position. So,
Wow, so
Yeah.
2 people who've been in the same unit for many, many years.
Yeah, which was not by design. We
No,
didn't know that
no.
when we featured the
No.
both of you. So, great story.
Before we get to the detailed questions here, I've already heard some very interesting things, but is there something about you guys, an interesting or fun fact that we might not, it could be a civilian thing, it could be a family thing, special skill, sport that you have?
I don't know if it's special. We own a horse. And this past weekend, I found out doing work around the ranch that I may be slightly allergic to wasps. So if you see me itching my hand, I got stung about 15 times on my hand this weekend.
Oh.
It's still bothering me right now. So yeah, we own a horse, and we spend pretty much all of our free time up at Dillingham Ranch taking care of a horse,
What's the horse's name?
Merlin, the
Merlin.
wizard.
All right. Oh, wow, I like that one.
Yeah, we kind of talked about that, right? The expenses of maintaining a horse. Yeah, good old Merlin.
Don't buy a horse,
Was for your daughter, right?
son.
For your son.
I guess my special skill is I'm a big cryptocurrency guy, believe it or not. I actually did a few professional courses online talking about blockchain, cryptocurrency, fintech, all that type of stuff. So if you ever want to kind of go into the deep dive of how a blockchain works, or about Bitcoin or Ethereum or Solana or anything like that, I'd be happy to sit down and kind of walk you through it. Hopefully you don't get lost in the sauce, but yeah, I try to make it palatable for everybody when they come and ask me.
I just know what Bitcoin is, but
Yeah.
the other term you said, I have no idea.
Yeah. Oh, that is great.
Yeah,
Wow, I think you guys win the award for the most
Yeah,
interesting
I think so.
facts about you guys.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I'm sorry about your wrist and the wasp. We won't sting here.
Maybe I should talk to you so I can afford my horse.
Yes.
There you go.
That's perfect.
Horse number 2 we named Crypto.
Yeah, there you go.
So with today's topic, I just wanted to ask a super basic question. What does navigating uncertainty mean to you?
Recently, for the 93rd, actually, we actually kind of went through a big overturn of personnel. I want to say it was actually we did one of our training exercises just yesterday, and talking with one of the newer team members we had, I didn't realize we almost had about a good 63% of turnover in personnel.
So how big is the unit?
22-man
22
team.
people?
So if you think it's just 2 guys gone is a big kind of blow. That definitely was a very big uncertain time. A lot of people were either moving out just unfortunately due to medical issues, others getting either promoted or moving out to other units, just expanding their careers. So it kind of hit the unit pretty hard. So a lot of people having to kind of pick up slack, because you think a 22-man unit, everybody has not just their duties but additional duties as well, and so everybody's just trying to keep the ship afloat, if you will. The other part is we have a real world mission too, so it's just okay, we support a lot of the Ironman events, we support the marathon, large scale events, and then also being able to handle that mission with a deficit of personnel is also a very difficult task to do. And it's kind of like you guys mentioned, is very, very much a lot of uncertainty. Okay, what's going to happen with the team? It's how are we going to be able to maintain their mission? And then on top of that, we also have other I guess other evaluations. So how are we gonna prepare for that? So yeah, just a lot of unknowns to deal with. So yeah.
Oh, yeah. 22-man unit, and
Yes.
they're very specialized, so yeah,
Right.
we do a lot of coverage of that unit
Mhm.
at different events, and some of the pictures we have in our slideshows that we show visitors are you guys all suited up, where you said you can lose like 3 to 7 pounds in one day.
So roughly about 5 pounds. 5 pounds is about a
Wow.
good. It's that's the healthy water loss. 7 pounds is like, yeah, that's a little bit too
A little bit
much.
too much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And I'm sure with the uncertainty of just that gap of experience too, because I'm sure
Yes.
it takes time to grow and
Yes.
train fully qualified personnel to help do that specialized mission,
Yeah.
which can be very challenging and difficult, and how you manage that.
The
You know,
more
so
stressful is the first sergeant of that unit.
Yes.
yeah, and that
Yeah.
too. Yeah.
Yes. Very very stressful. A lot of people kind of coming to you, but it's difficult because you can't give them that solid answer, right? Because you yourself don't necessarily know that answer either, right? It's just kind of like pointing it out to them. It's just like, okay, it's just like we got to keep powering through because eventually, we'll get to that point, right? This where we're at right now, it's only a temporary thing. We're gonna, the promised line is there. I know you can't see it, but
Right.
yep, we just
Yeah.
got to keep moving forward.
What
So,
do we prioritize now and what can we control now is
yes.
basically the narrative that you're probably trying to share that helps them think, okay, what's the nearest alligator to the boat, right? So,
Yes, exactly. Yep.
Never heard that before.
you never heard that before?
For me, I think all of us in this room and everybody probably listening to this podcast are very familiar with uncertainty as a whole, right? The moment we swore to protect and defend the Constitution of the United States and the state of Hawaii, you're walking into uncertain times. You don't know what's going to come forward. There's going to be conflict, the wildfires, the pandemic, volcano eruptions. You never know when things are going to kick off. All of that being said, for me personally, some of those things were, possibilities, not certainties, but possibilities. Things will happen in real life around the world. For me, in the 201st Intel Squadron, the biggest uncertainty for us was last year. One of our members, Master Sergeant Tara Gallego, was diagnosed with stage 4 cancer back in April of last year. So just not knowing where to go from there. How do we support? What do we do? What does the family need? What does Tara need? What do the unit members need? Who out there is available to offer support? How do you prioritize who you're going to contact? Who you're going to bug, really, to continually ask how we're going to do the best for Tara and her family while she's going through an uncertain time.
So run us through maybe as you're probably unsure that it's uncertain, I guess, but how do you frame your mind and shift the way you view it, where like you have to be present as that senior enlisted leader in that unit to be there for your airmen and soldiers. Can you guys kind of run through, when those events occurred, like what was the first thing you did, or maybe what you didn't know?
Honestly, my first one is like, of course, is like how the hell we're gonna be able to do all this, It's always that, you kind of hit those 5 stages of grief. It's like first part is the anger, right? It's like how the heck did it, is this happening to us, right? And then as a leader, right? I mean, me, I take a lot of honestly, I take a lot of things personally. I try not to, but personally, I'm just like, man, I've allowed my unit to kind of hit this low point, and then so, but again, the hard part is yeah, kind of like you were saying, Chief, is trying to reframe that your mindset. It's like, okay, I got it. This is a temporary thing, right? It's like we've I mean, not necessarily been here before, but been in worse situations, and we're gonna get where we need to go. So yeah, just kind of, I guess you could kind of say, just keeping your eyes on the horizon, right? Even though the boat is definitely rocking, you just kind of keep looking forward and knowing that eventually you're gonna get where you need to go.
And that takes a lot of faith and
Right.
confidence, and you're falling back on your skills as a unit and as a first sergeant, to get you to that point. But yeah, that's a good analogy with
Uh-huh.
the boat rocking, but trying to, no matter what's happening, you're focused
You're
on your
focused.
goal.
It reminds me of when I watched Inside and Out too, and they had a new emotion, which was anxiety, and the way he was depicted, or I don't know if it's a female or male, but crazy kind of hair, and they would just be walking around. So I think there's a moment of that, like you're freaking out, like you said, but then you have to like regain focus and then move forward on what you think is best to do at that time. So yeah.
Yeah, and that's a tough one with the unit losing somebody and even preparing.
Yeah, so for us, it was, again, back to not knowing how we can help, how we can support, what we're going to do. At the time, Tara was mobilized. So the initial concern was, will she be pulled off mobilization orders before MedCon orders can get kicked in? And as help started arriving, phone calls from 15th Wing Casualty Affairs, 154th Wing Casualty Affairs, 15th Med Group, Wounded Warrior folks, even Travis Air Force Base Wounded Warrior folks were calling. We contacted Air Combat Command because she was on orders with them. NGB, everybody and their mom that we reached out to and or just reached out to us helped alleviate a lot of that, not uncertainty, but a lot of that fear of not knowing what I'm supposed to do at that point in time, right? Not knowing what anybody's supposed to do. So same thing, mindset kind of shifted from, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing. I need to do something. We need to do something. But as help started rolling in and we realized that she was going to be taken care of the best way possible by her doctors at Tripler, and by all the support agencies back here and on the mainland. A lot of that uncertainty kind of trickled off and really helped us build trust in other agencies. I'm not a micromanager. I hope not. Talk to somebody in my unit maybe. I try not to be. Certain things like this, I mean, that was really important to me, talking to her and her family, that transition from mobilization to MedCon and all the way through was going to be smooth. She needed the insurance. They needed the paycheck. They needed to make sure everything was financially sound and good while she went through treatment. So yeah, I called the Air Reserve Personnel Center every day and talked to the team there, because there was 2 senior airmen, so E4s, on that team in San Antonio in charge of her case. And not that I didn't trust them, I just wanted to make sure. So even talking to our own med group, I 100% trust Chief Wayne Kapu, I trust Master Sergeant Mosuela, but I still called them almost every day to make sure that the status was still moving forward, everything was good. They didn't need anything from us, they didn't need anything from Tara. So really the uncertainty still with what was going to go on with her in the end was there, but at least the processes and things started to calm down so we could focus more on, raising money. So when she's sitting in treatment, we had great unit members raise money for her so she could buy movies and books and stuff, and her husband and the family, to help pay for plane tickets for her daughter's active duty Air Force to come back and burn leave, taking care of her family in that regard.
So it sounds like information helped solve some of the uncertainty in the beginning.
Yep.
It got you to another place where there's more uncertainty on the follow part, but so resources and
Yeah.
information.
Yeah, and I think what I'm hearing is like just that support that you knew you had on these different agencies, that they were going to help you get to that, whatever that endpoint was or whatever we needed to do to take care of Tara. So I think that created you being vulnerable too and saying, I don't know, but I'm going to seek some information. I think definitely is a great tool for navigating uncertainty. Like we just don't know. And you probably had said that. I don't know, but we're going to find out.
And you want to be that Superman, Superwoman. You want to take care of
Yeah.
everything. And it's really humbling and hard to realize that you can't. You can't do it by yourself. So I hate to frame it this way. It was a great learning experience. I love Tara. I miss her every day. But I learned a lot from all that.
Yeah.
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 No, that's a good way. I lost Peter Kali from the Air Guard and cancer on active duty, and I got to see the resources that came in, and it was amazing. And the family of his personal family and then his unit family. So you guys did a great job.
Yeah.
We've had other people talk about her as well. So It's sad that you had to go through it, but you gained, your unit did, unreal experience through that situation. And now you know, one of my questions was, is this something you should do on your own or should you lean on other people? You know, do you take that responsibility as a leader? It's like, I need to see this through and push it, or do you rely on others?
I'd say you definitely rely on others. I mean, as leaders, we don't necessarily get where we're at without, without the support of, our lower enlisted, our support, I mean, our peers, so definitely in those uncertain times, like just for myself personally, it's just always either reaching out definitely to mostly like on the peers. I have to say, like on my personal side, it was always having my girlfriend being there for me, kind of coaching me through, like supporting me through a lot of that stuff, because I come home with, you can't tell everybody at the end of the day that's like, man, this really sucks. Yeah, because everybody's looking at you, right?
Right.
So it's nice to have that outlet to be able to kind of just offload some of that
Yeah.
stuff. Yeah, and then also give that perspective. It's like, it's like, well, why are you agreeing with them? It's like, you're supposed to be on my side.
Yeah.
But it's like, but they make that point for you. And it's like, okay, yeah. So now you can kind of help understand a little bit of it too. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
I think it just helps to go through that, like what you're thinking out loud. Like just recently, I had a great conversation with one of my friends. I said, I'm sorry, I'm just rambling on and I'm wavering with whatever I'm trying to decide on. She's like, it's okay. And I'm like, okay, I feel better. But then I'm still back to uncertainty, but that's okay. I think it helps me just decompress and not get so stressed out and bottle up inside. Because I think we all have those moments where we're like, I just don't know. I don't know what to tell you. I don't know what to say. I don't know what to do.
And sometimes talking
You
it through
know?
is the best
Yeah.
thing. That those conversations when you get home, if you have the resource, a spouse, a friend, a family member that you can just unload on. And yeah, I thought it was funny. You said the expectation is right, right, and they pick
Yeah.
something opposite, and it's a different perspective, and that's something we need to do is change our view, change our perspective, and look at all sides. And so I thought that okay, I'm not alone in that, because she'll take the other side, and I'll be frustrated, and I'm
Right.
like, but you know what? I might not be on the right side.
Uh,
So yeah, okay. So I asked him about the yourself were alone. I'm assuming you're going to say the same thing because of what you did. But was there a different situation, or is it pretty much across the board navigating uncertainty? You should rely on others.
I think, yeah, 100% you should rely on others. Like Professor Ankane said, nobody gets to where they're at without help from other people. Um, for me, again, with Tara stuff, it took a while for me to not want to do everything myself. Because for me, that was a way to deal with what was going on with her, right? That was a way to escape the reality of what may or may not come to be. So I can just focus on these tasks. I don't really have to think about the possibility of Tara passing away. But as more and more people offered help, unit members are stepping up all over the place, asking what is needed, not even asking sometimes, just going to take care of things. I kind of realized I was being a little bit selfish in that regard, where other people may need that as part of their processes too, to handle what was going on with Tara, especially after she passed away. And everybody wanted to help with the memorial ceremony. They wanted to attend her celebration of life. So yeah, I think I realized a couple times along the way I was being selfish, and yeah, I do need to ask for help. When people are offering, I can't just say no. I can't, I got it, don't worry about it. I'm already talking to this person, I'll talk to that person. Letting some of that stuff go so I can focus on other things, and helping allow other people to deal with it in their way too, right?
Do you think you figured that out because you're older and wiser and have experience, or you just felt it? You know what? This is the right thing to do.
Definitely not because I'm older and I have experience. I think along the way I just realized I was being selfish and it was the right thing to do, for everybody involved.
well, you take on a lot of emotion, so I'm sure at some point you realize, yeah, I just can't hold on to all of this. I need to like let it go. But I think that's important that you recognize that some people want to help, and sometimes they don't know how to help, right? And so by not helping at all, you feel sort of useless maybe. And so I think that's important that you recognize that with the people that still want to be part of Tara's, um, remembering Tara. And so yeah, thanks for sharing that.
So, Chief, is there something you do to beat the uncertainty? Is there a way you can prepare for something that's coming so you don't have to navigate it? You kind of navigate was the good word, with the ship that
Yeah.
you said. Is there some techniques or some things that you do to prepare for it?
I don't think there's a way to prepare, but I think it's just sharing that vulnerability like you don't know, and like asking my supervisor, my boss, what is on your mind? We're dealing with this particular situation. What are you thinking? And help kind of hopefully we can have conversations that share the sentiments, and then we move out, whatever that is. And so I think that's what's important, is just to openly communicate and have a forum to like vent. Like, I don't know, because we are looking at our leaders like they know everything. And I'm pretty sure, they feel the same way. They don't know everything. Am I going to make the right decision? You just hope whatever decision is made, that it's the right one for this reason alone. So I think there's no way to beat it. There's always uncertainty in life. It's how I think we handle it going into whatever that uncertainty is for us.
So this is where I insert my pickleball analogy. Um, you can practice all the different shots. You never know which one you're going to have to use, but you prepare for them all. And so that's kind of how I think life is, and problems, and being a first sergeant, being a leader in the unit, one of the original members of the unit, is to take your experience, remember, and just you hope for the best, plan for the worst, but you got to plan. If you don't do that planning, you can still get through it, but it's going to be a lot tougher. So I would say plan. And so in pickleball, you practice over and over. You practice different shots. You play with different levels that'll beat you really bad and embarrass you on the court. And then you play with the 85-year-old who is going to make you look silly as well. But you have fun with that. And I read on the internet that one of the things to cope with this was to play. It takes your mind completely off. When you have the ability to smile and think about something else for a second, that helps alleviate some of the stress. So what would you guys do to help with the stress of this whole purpose and job of navigating the uncertainty? Because it's a lot of work. So what do you do to kind of ease that?
So I think you're right. The planning part is a big part of the military period, right? What we do. And I think during the pre-meeting, you were talking about you just talked about an exercise you had yesterday, and then all the exercises you guys have to prepare for things. Because even if you're walking into an uncertain situation, you don't have the full details, at least part of you is prepared to deal with it, right? And you're prepared as a team, and you're prepared to do something right then and there. So when you're saying before, Chief Fox, about making the right decision, we're not always going to make the right decision, but you can make the best decision you can for that moment in time, and all the training and everything helps you do that.
Yeah.
In my particular case, I don't think anybody ever plans on a member getting sick and then eventually passing away. So for me, I don't know how you prepare for the uncertainty of what's going on. So from April, and she passed away September of last year, so April up until September, we knew the possibility of her passing away was there. Stage 4 cancer, it was very aggressive. She had ups and downs, and towards the end, it was really down. So it was a lot of just talking with everybody, talking to unit members, talking to her family. When she was able to talk or text, talking to her, find out what she wanted, what the family wanted, what unit members wanted, how they can help again, like just communicating with everybody about what is going on with them and what they want out of what's going to happen maybe. That helped out a ton. Her family being really, really responsive and open about what they want. As far as like her military memorial service, I had to talk them through roll call the night before the memorial service. I didn't have to. I offered to, and they wanted to hear about it because nobody had experienced it before besides her. Her son is active duty Navy chaplain's assistant with the Marines over in Parris Island. So he's been in military memorial services before, but until you're there, especially if your mom, it's rough. So just the talking, communicating part, because you can't have exercises for somebody passing away.
That's right.
Definitely.
But we can talk through everything along the way to make sure that we do best by, again, the member, what they want, what the family wants. She didn't want anybody in blues, for example. So we purposely were not in blues for that. Actually, well, some folks were in blues. The rest of the unit wasn't in blues because that's what she wanted.
Yeah, so I kind of like to both of your points. Yeah, definitely the preparation piece is always helps with uncertainty. Through some of the real world events that I've been through as a CST member, yep, it's nothing like you've ever trained for, right? You get there and you just try to figure out how you're gonna go about doing this, and it's kind of a little bit similar, right? It's like you can yeah, you can train up as much as as you try to, but then once the situation actually happens to you, it's like it's you just do your best, right? You're trying to figure out, okay, what do we need to do, and you start leaning on, like, especially for the CST, it's like start leaning on the teammates to your left and your right, and it's like, okay, yep, this is what needs to happen, and it's like, okay, how do we go about doing it? So yeah, it's just trying to, like, yeah, just leaning on your teammates and try to do your best, try to figure out how to get through it.
Yeah, sometimes you can't prepare. And so if you just rely on your teammates and your training, you'll figure it out. Because the problem is, especially with you, it's not going to be a textbook. Okay, it's an unmarked box in the middle of a room. What do we do? That's the scenario for training. But you need to rely on all your other training
Yeah.
and your teammates because it's not going to be that simple. It's not going to be something you expect. So I think that's a good one too. So rely on your training, rely on your buddies, communication.
Good support. So yeah, I mean, such great information. I wish we had more time. But we'd like to end with always asking your advice. What advice do you have for our listeners out there on navigating uncertainty? Something that they can take back and maybe implement within their own organization, military life, civilian, whatever advice you guys might have for them.
Kind of thought about this one for a little bit. So Winston Churchill has a really great saying. It says, when you're going through hell, keep going." So I mean, really, that's really all you can do. It's like, yep, I don't know what's next, but I'm gonna keep pushing through because eventually I know we're gonna get somewhere. Whether it's good, bad, whatever I'm going through, it's temporary. So I know just to kind of keep moving forward.
Yeah, good advice.
Nice quote.
I would say just trust. Just build trust and be willing to ask for help and be willing to receive help when it's offered to you. That will get you so far with anything you're going through, any uncertain times. Just ask for help and trust the folks that are going to help you.
How about you, Chief? Advice?
I think the whole communication, opening that lines of communication, allowing your members, soldiers and airmen, to be able to go to you when they're feeling uncertain about things that are happening. My support system is my husband. I vent to him all the time. He has to actually close his lips physically because sometimes I'm talking. So, and I tell him, I just want you to listen, and that makes me feel better. So I would say my advice would be just open communication.
My wife gave me this one of uncertainty is every big project, it's like you just look at it and you're just like, oh my gosh, this huge thing that I have to go through. And so her thing is just take small bites and work on that. And sometimes you work on the easy one, cross it off the list. And then the hard one, get to it, but just take your time. And that's when I can apply communication, relying on others, planning, and all of everything else you said. So no, great advice, great topic. Great stories. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah, we appreciate you both being here. So thank you, Chief Chase and First Sergeant Kane, for being here today and sharing your experiences and perspectives on navigating uncertainty. This was a topic that I knew would be kind of, I'm gonna say difficult, but a lot of deep dive thinking on how we perceive that topic. Mahalo to Jeff, my wingman, and then to Andy behind the camera and the mic. And I am Chief Fox, so thank you for joining us today on today's podcast of the Chiefs 9 episode.